South as a parliamentarian for the third time in the first sitting of the 18th Lok Sabha, resurgent opposition demands a debate on the paper leak issue and is already locking horns with the government on the appointment of the pro tem speaker. SEBI conducts search and seizure operations at Quant Asset Management Company's headquarters in Mumbai. Fund House says it will provide all necessary support and continue to furnish data to the market regulator. A CNBC TV 18 exclusive, a 100-day plan for the manufacturing sector in the works. Sources say the government will take a call on new PLI schemes for footwear, leather and toy sectors and modify 5 other PLI schemes, including textiles and bulk drugs, to attract more investment. Nasper's own process writes down its entire Baiju stake worth $493 million to zero, attributes the decision to inadequate information on the edtech firm's financial health, liabilities and future outlook. Labour and trade unions asked the finance minister to hike the minimum wage from 15,000 rupees to 26,000 rupees, also called for higher allocation to central schemes like the midday meals and child development services. Bharti Airtel in talks with Vodafone PLC to buy a 3% stake in Indus Towers. Sources say the deal will take Airtel's shareholding to 52%. That's another exclusive tonight. India's current account swings to surplus in the last quarter of FY24 after logging deficits for 10 quarters. This is largely driven by strong services exports and remittances, but capital flows marred by a fall in foreign direct investment. The impact of AI will be bigger than mobile and cloud, says the president of TCS in North America, Amit Bajaj. Adds business confidence is robust, but large clients in the US are in wait-and-watch mode ahead of the elections. Student protests intensify in the capital after the National Testing Agency delays the NEET postgraduate exam as a precautionary measure. Bihar, Gujarat and Maharashtra now register cases over an alleged NEET paper leak. At least 19 killed in Russia's Dagestan province after gunmen attack a synagogue and Orthodox church and police checkpoints. Russian authorities have called it a terror attack. No one has claimed responsibility so far. Tomato prices surge across large parts of the country as a prolonged summer hurts production. Retail prices hit 90 to 100 rupees a kilo in Mumbai. Well, as always, let's start with the day's market action for the day. The markets did recover, coming off their intraday lows, ending the day finally flat with a slight positive bias. So let's take a look at the Nifty, managing to stay above 23,053 and finally closing flat. The Nifty mid-cap index also a flat close, 150 points higher. ICICI Bank was on the gaining side, up by about 1%. Reliance was down by about 25 rupees at this point in time. That was the story as far as the markets were concerned. Staying with the markets, regulator SEBI has conducted search and seizure operations on Sandeep Tandon-owned Quant Mutual Fund as part of a probe into a suspected front-running. According to a money control report citing sources, the search and seizure operations were conducted across 2 locations in Mumbai and Hyderabad. On Friday, Quant dealers and persons connected with the case were also questioned. The case allegedly relates to front-running, but the exact nature of the allegations cannot be ascertained. It's also not clear if the management is under investigation or whether the probe relates only to external parties. Quant Mutual Fund is founded by Sandeep Tandon. The fund received a mutual fund license in 2017. It's been the fastest growing mutual fund in the country, with assets rising from 100-odd crore in 2019 to more than 90,000 crores currently. In a statement, Quant said it has received inquiries from SEBI and it's fully committed to cooperating with the regulator. That's the latest on that development. A quick check of the monsoon tracker. The Met Department predicts heavy rainfall along the western coast over the next few days, and this includes coastal Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa, with the southwest monsoon winds advancing further into Gujarat. Regions of North India and Central India may witness higher rainfall over the next few days. The progress of the monsoon has been slow so far, and it's yet to cover the entire country. While speaking of key macro data, after logging deficits for 10 consecutive quarters, India's current account has swung back into surplus. According to the Reserve Bank data for January to the March quarter, current account surplus stands at $5.7 billion, which is 0.6% of the country's GDP. For the full financial year, current account deficit narrowed to $23 billion against $67 billion in FY23. But foreign direct investment has seen an inflow of just $2 billion compared to an inflow of $6.4 billion a year ago. Now, the first session of the 18th Lok Sabha began today. Prime Minister Modi took oath as a parliamentarian for the third time along with his Council of Ministers. In his pre-session remarks, the Prime Minister took a jibe at the opposition over the emergency imposed by the Congress Party 50 years ago on the 25th of June. Opposition MPs, including Rahul Gandhi, held copies of the Constitution while the Prime Minister took oath before the session. The India bloc leaders, including Rajya Sabha lawmakers Mallikarjun Kharge and Sonia Gandhi, were seen protesting with copies of the Constitution. A resurgent opposition is expected to corner the government on the alleged irregularities in the NEET and UGC NET competitive exams. The opposition has already locked horns with the government over the appointment of a 7-term MP. Bharturi Mahatab, pro tem speaker. As per convention, the post is reserved for the Lok Sabha MP with the highest number of terms. Now, the Congress says the post should have gone to 8th-term Lok Sabha MP K. Suresh. BJP's National President and Health Minister J.P. Nadda named the leader of the upper house. He replaces Piyush Goyal, who takes oath as a Lok Sabha MP after winning from the Mumbai North constituency. Meanwhile, the Biju Janata Dal President Naveen Patnaik held a meeting with the party's 9 Rajya Sabha MPs and has asked them to emerge as a strong opposition in the House, also ruling out any support to the BJP in Parliament. Remember, the BJD failed to secure any seat in the Lok Sabha polls in Odisha. The new government's 100-day plan for the manufacturing sector is in the works. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 the government will take a call on new performance-linked incentive schemes for footwear, leather and the toy sectors. It could also modify 5 other PLI schemes in the bid to attract more investment. Parikshit is standing by with the details. Parikshit, what new as far as PLI schemes are concerned, and where could we see modification? What's the government working on?
Well, encouraging manufacturing in new technologies, attracting more investments in PLI-related sectors would be a priority for NDA in its third term. We heard that 3 new PLI proposals have been prepared by the government, and it remains to be seen whether they will be finally approved in the next 100 days or so. So this includes the labor-intensive sectors for footwear, toys and leather. And this also shows a priority for the government to increase employment in manufacturing. Similarly, there are 5 PLI schemes which could be up for modifications, including textiles, food processing, solar, bulk drugs and the pharma sector. The government is trying to see if the number of product lines in each of these PLI schemes can be increased so that more applicants can apply, and also the time limit for starting manufacturing can be increased, for example, in textiles from 2 to 3 years. So these are some of the changes that could take place in these 5 PLI schemes. When we speak about food processing, the government is keen on setting up smart food processing hubs across the country and make India an important player in the global value chain for food processing in fruits, vegetables, fish and dairy products as well. At the same time, when it comes to pharmaceutical sector, the government wants to have a greater focus on manufacturing and research in APIs, and within the existing PLI framework, have an expansion of the research-linked incentive schemes. When we speak about the existing sectors, the government wants to further encourage manufacturing in electronics, automobiles, defense and mobile, with a greater push for job creation in these sectors. Decriminalizing laws and removing unnecessary penal provisions will be a priority in the 100 days as well. So if there was Jan Vishwas 1 in NDA 2.0, there will be Jan Vishwas 2, which will be ready within the 100 days, and a bill will also be prepared. A deep tech policy for the startup ecosystem is also in the works, and this will be to encourage strategic partnerships, innovation, research and manufacturing in the startup ecosystem in India.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. We'll have to wait to see how much of this is part of the budget when Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents one. We still don't have a final date yet. Now, the Finance Minister did hold pre-budget consultations with representatives of trade unions and labour organisations today. The unions presented a list of demands that include a hike in minimum wages from 15,000 rupees to 26,000 rupees. Representatives have sought that the wages of the ASHA, Anganwadi and midday meal workers are increased as well. They urged the government to ensure statutory minimum support price for all farm produce based on the Swaminathan Commission's formula.
Employment generating economy must be on the employment generating track. The policy, today's policy is just moving in the opposite direction to ensuring fortuitous gain an undue illegal gain for the employers and corporates. Their policy direction must be reversed. That is what we 10 central trade unions, through our written memorandum, we praised that joint memorandum and also reiterated on those points.
Growth model which you are adopting for last so many years, that has resulted into job loss and wage loss, basically. So jobs are declining, wages are also declining, and we have raised the demand that at least 26,000 minimum wage should be given national level.
While trade and labour unions making their demands known to the finance minister. And just days to go for the budget, the government is tempering expectations of potential tax cuts. Timsy is here with more. Timsy, all kinds of reports on what kind of relief the government could provide, but what are we realistically talking about?
Well, that's right, tempering the expectations for a possible tax relief for those earning up to 15 lakh rupees per annum. Senior government official has told CNBC TV 18 that no such proposal is under discussion as of now. Rather, such changes would have significant revenue implications for the government. Thus, they feel that these media reports are a little misplaced. Remember, this clarification comes amid reports hinting at a potential windfall for the middle class. The most likely scenario mentioned in these reports involves changes to the current income tax slabs of 20% and 30%. Government has already announced a new tax regime, and what government officials indicated that it also brought in changes to make the new regime more attractive. And they said that the filing period under the new revised income tax regime, which is the new regime and which was made further simpler, has just started. So it is too early to assess the impact and judge whether any new changes are warranted or not. So thus they say that as of now, no such proposal under discussion. And yes, it would mean a lot of revenue implications for the government.
All right, Timsy, we will have to wait to see if this continues or there is a change in position. On to CNBC TV 18 exclusive, we learned from sources that Bharti Airtel has plans on the work to capitalize on its telecom tower vertical. That's Indus Towers. The firm is in talks with Vodafone PLC to buy an additional 3% stake in Indus Towers. Nisha standing by with the details. Nisha, take us through what is on the cards and what this will potentially lead to.
Thanks for that. Yes, with an eye on telecom sector overall seeing some improvement with high expectations of a tariff hike as well. Well, the direct beneficiary will also be the telecom tower business of Indus Towers, and that gives Bharti Airtel a lot of confidence to come up with mega plans. In fact, sources with direct knowledge have shared with CNBC TV 18 that there is a two-pronged strategy which is at works. First, to consolidate the business of Indus Towers. Remember, they stopped short of 49% stake in the last stake that they bought from Vodafone, and now we gather from sources with direct knowledge that they are in talks to buy out the remaining 3% stake from Vodafone PLC. And not just that, it will also benefit Indus Towers because talks are meandering around a large part of the proceeds of that stake sale, which Vodafone should infuse and pay back some part of the dues to Indus Towers. Remember, Vodafone Idea owes dues to the tune of 5,400 crore rupees. Also to remember that the last block deal by Vodafone exempts the promoters from a lock-in period from the stake sale and buying more shares. The second part of the strategy is the data center Nextra, which is housed in Bharti Airtel at the current moment, dependent on Bharti Airtel for a large part of its business performance. That Bharti Airtel could be looking at merging with Indus Towers is what we gather from sources with direct knowledge. This for three reasons: value unlocking of Nextra, second, giving an exit to Carlyle, which owns 24% stake in the company, and third, also to make Bharti Airtel asset light. Remember, Indus Towers is a cash throwing business and their capital can be utilized for further expansion of high growth potential area of data centers. We reached out to all the companies named in the story. We did not get any comments on the queries that were given, but this is the two-pronged strategy that Bharti Airtel could be working on in capitalizing on Indus Towers' potential going forward as the health of telecom sector is likely to improve with the tariff hikes.
Okay, Nisha, many thanks. Here's the latest in the insolvency proceedings at JP Associates at the NCLAT. Bankers have told the tribunal that they're not convinced with the firm's proposal to pay a one-time settlement of 16,200 crore rupees. Lenders argue that the company had 7 years to make the payment. The NCLAT has now directed the lenders to file a formal response on the payment proposal before the next date of hearing, which is the 3rd of July. Vedanta is considering its first ever dollar bond sale of at least $500 million. According to Bloomberg, the company is seeking legal opinion and exploring other fundraising avenues, including an equity stake sale. The value of the bond sale could go up to $1 billion, depending on the response from investors. The company intends to use the proceeds to fund its capex plans for 2025. The Adani Group held its 32nd annual general meeting today. Group chairman Gautam Adani claimed the Hindenburg report was designed to defame the company, terming the allegations baseless yet again. The US short seller Hindenburg had accused the Adani Group of manipulating stock prices using tax havens, which triggered a big fall in the share prices last year. More than a year on, the Adani Group has regained most of the value that was lost. Here's Gautam Adani.
The attack was a calculated strike 2 days before the closing of our follow-on on public offer. It was designed to defame us, do maximum damage, and erode our hard-earned market value.
That's Gautam Adani. Dutch investment firm Proces has marked down its entire investment in embattled edtech company Byju's to zero, citing a significant decrease in value for equity investors. Proces currently holds 9.6% stake in the company, and the development comes amidst the Proces-led group of investors calling for an ouster of the current management and challenging its rights issue. Ritu's been tracking these developments and joins us now with more. Ritu, another blow there for Byju's, and a big one for Byju's investors.
Yes, Proces, which is the largest external investor in Byju's, has now written down the value of its 9.6% stake in the company down to zero, citing a significant decrease in value for equity investors. Now, over the course of the last 5 years, Proces had invested $536 million into Byju's across multiple rounds, but in its latest annual report, the investment firm says it recorded a fair value loss of $493 million on account of these investments made into the company. Now, a Proces spokesperson told CNBC TV18 that the write-down was primarily because it had, and I quote Proces, inadequate information on Byju's financial health, liabilities and future outlook, end of quote. Now, Proces's move follows BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager, also very recently writing off its entire stake in Byju's down to zero, and the move also comes amid a group of investors that are led by Proces seeking to oust Byju Ravindran and co-founder Divya Gokulnath from the company, seeking a change in management, revamping the board, and these investors have also challenged Byju's recently concluded $200 million rights issue in court, and the company can't really use these funds until the matter is disposed of. Byju's is also facing an acute financial crunch we've been reporting on. It has had to resort to layoffs in the not-so-distant past, and it is also entangled in multiple legal disputes, including bankruptcy pleas that it is facing from several of its creditors across courts. Now, Byju's is also in the middle of all of this, being seen an exodus of senior management board members in the past year, including the Proces representative on the board because of governance and other concerns. Now, it is amid all of this turbulence that you now have investors like BlackRock and more recently like Proces writing down their investment to zero in what was once the most celebrated edtech company, valued at $22 billion at its peak.
Ritu, many thanks for joining us. Now, the impact of artificial intelligence will be bigger than mobile and cloud put together. That's the word from the president of TCS in its North America business, Amit Bajaj. Speaking to me earlier, Bajaj said that business confidence is robust, but large clients in the US are in wait-and-watch mode ahead of the elections. The TCS executive also observed that company spends on AI remain measured as the adoption of the technology will take time to achieve scale. this is really the mother market for you, Amit, and you've been here over the last few years running the North American business. What's the sense that you get in terms of business confidence, in terms of a return of discretionary spending capacity, discretionary spending power? Is it looking any different today from the last time that you spoke at the end of the quarter?
I think the overall confidence is quite robust, I would say, Shireen. But in the short term, we're going through an election year. There is fair amount of tailwinds that we have from good employment rates, good consumer demand, but there are also sense of headwinds with government spending, with inflation, with interest rate environment. So I think while the demand is holding up and businesses' top line is quite strong, they are still taking a cautious approach, investing, but being measured.
And when you say investing, is it incremental investment or is it really redeploying capital from one area to the next?
I would say the latter. So AI is very, very real, and it's everyone wants to invest in that.
So where are they pulling money out of and putting it into AI?
And the AI has both an applicability on the growth side, but also on efficiency and cost side. So at the near term, you can deploy the technology in business as usual activities and fund your innovation and growth cycles from there.
So pause for now, you believe at least through 2024 till the US elections are out of the way, which is November. So it pretty much takes care of this calendar year.
Yeah, I would say measured. We are going to see spending, but there's going to be a dislocation of spend. And it's going to be in certain ways self-funding, at least for now.
And you can catch that conversation with Amit Bajaj at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. Up next on India Business Hour, tomato prices surge across large parts of the country as a prolonged summer hurts production. That and more when we return. And you can catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. The controversy around the NEET underground exam has spiraled, leaving lakhs of students and their parents in anguish. Yet another competitive exam, the NEET PG, which was scheduled yesterday, was cancelled on Saturday evening. The centre says the decision was taken as a precautionary measure. Students' protests against the alleged irregularities in the NEET and NET UG have intensified across India. The CBI has filed an FIR in connection with the malpractices. Meanwhile, the Maharashtra police has registered a case against 4 suspects, including 2 teachers, over the alleged NEET paper leak. Several suspects were also arrested in Bihar and Gujarat. The probe was handed over to the CBI. Amidst mounting pressure, the government has removed the National Testing Agency's Director General Subodh Kumar Singh and put him on compulsory wait till further orders. However, it has maintained that the incidents of malpractice were localized or isolated. India's Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan faced slogans as he took oath as the MP in Parliament today. Visuals show Pradhan walking towards the podium amidst chants of shame from the opposition benches.
सरकार की तरफ से तमाम बातों को मजबूती से और पूरी निरपक्षता के साथ सदन के पटल पर रखा जाएगा। सरकार के पास छुपाने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं है। जो ये हुआ है, इसमें जो भी दोषी हों, भले वो पेपर लीक हो या जिस तरीके से ग्रेस मार्क्स को लेकर छात्रों में चिंताएं रही हैं, ऐसे में उन तमाम बातों को ध्यान दिया जाएगा। सरकार गंभीरता से इस विषय को मॉनिटर कर रही है।
युवा आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कि जो देश में एजुकेशन इमरजेंसी लगी है, जहां पे एग्जाम रद्द हो रहे हैं, पेपर लीक हो रहे हैं, सीबीआई की इंक्वायरी चल रही है और आपसे और आपके एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर से कोई अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं ली जा रही है, ये कहां तक सही है? और आज युवाओं को आप बेरोजगारी पे छोड़ रहे हैं या युवाओं को इस तरीके से उनके हालात पे छोड़ रहे हैं जहां पे उनके साल भी मिस हो सकते हैं एग्जाम के। तो मैं मानती हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी आज के मुद्दों पे बात करें।
Delhi High Court will pronounce its judgment on the Enforcement Directorate's plea seeking a cancellation of the bail granted to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal tomorrow. Earlier today, the Supreme Court refused to allow bail to Kejriwal in the liquor excise policy case, saying it will wait for the High Court's order. The Apex Court also said it will hear Kejriwal's plea on June 26. Now remember, the Delhi High Court paused Arvind Kejriwal's release after a trial court had granted him bail on the 20th of June. The Supreme Court today grilled the Delhi Development Authority over the felling of 1,100 trees in the capital's protected ridge area. The court questioned if the DDA was trying to shield Delhi's Lieutenant Governor, as two documents seem to suggest that the LG had directed the chopping of the trees. The Supreme Court has warned the DDA to come clean on who authorized the felling of the trees. It concluded it was prepared to send a loud signal if authorities are not performing their statutory functions. The apex court reiterated that the ridge was protected by an SC order and no trees can be cut without its permission. The government has imposed stock limits on the quantity of wheat that retailers and processors can hold to keep prices in check. Now, wholesalers can hold up to 3,000 metric tons, while retailers can hold up to 10 metric tons per outlet. The Department of Food and Public Distribution Secretary Sanjeev Chopra says the stock limit aims to target hoarding that's being done to artificially inflate prices. The secretary added that there was no shortage of wheat in the country. Wholesalers and retailers have 30 days to align with the new limits. Tomato prices are surging across large parts of the country. Again, a prolonged summer has impacted supply. As per reports, retail prices have hit 100 rupees a kg in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Maharashtra. Tomato is an important ingredient in daily cooking and used as a base for several curries. Santya joins us now from Mumbai. Santya, 100 rupees in Mumbai?
Though every year monsoon leads to a vegetable price hike, but this year as far as tomatoes are concerned, along with the monsoon factor, the way the excessive heat damaged the crop this year, that has led to a massive price hike. We are in Mumbai's Vilepale area right now and we'll try and speak to some of the vegetable vendors to understand the price here. यहाँ पे भी टमाटर के दाम क्या चल रहे हैं दादा?
80 रुपए किलो।
पहले कितने थे?
पहले 40 था, 50 था, 60 हुआ, फिर 80 हुआ।
और ये 40 कितने दिनों पहले तक थे?
2 हफ्ता पहले था।
आपका मार्जिन कितना निकल जाता है इसमें?
क्या मिलेगा, 5 दिन मिलता है, क्या मिलेगा? 1 किलो 5 दिन मिलेगा, बहुत है।
कुछ ऐसा कि ग्राहक थोड़ा सा जो 1 किलो लेते थे वो थोड़ा कम ले रहे हैं, ऐसा कुछ समझ?
कम ले रहा है ना, जिसको 1 किलो लेने को आधा किलो ले रहा है, जिसको आधा किलो लेने को पाव किलो ले रहा है।
सब्जी कैसे बनाएंगे? टमाटर के बिना सब्जी बनती ही नहीं है, तो ये गरीब लोग क्या करेंगे?
This price we have to manage something on the we'll not go in for kilos or 2 kilo and all that, but we'll buy in a smaller quantity. But somehow we have to make our ends meet, right? We cannot do without the tomatoes.
जहाँ जो लगते हैं वहाँ आधा यूज करते हैं, और क्या कर सकते हैं? कुछ तो हमको कुछ कटौती हमको ही करनी पड़ेगी ना, क्योंकि भाव एकदम बढ़ा है, तो जितना हमको लगता है उतना तो नहीं ले सकते।
बारिश न होने की वजह से सब भाजी खराब हो गया है, जो आता है वो महंगा ही है, सस्ता भी नहीं हुआ है। जब बारिश होगा अगले महीने तक बारिश हो जाएगा, भाजी सस्ता हुआ है।
On an average, per acre, the final output is around 2,000 cartons in Maharashtra. But this year, it came down to 400 to 500 cartons per acre. That is the kind of loss farmer is looking at. Now, as far as other vegetables are concerned, those prices have also increased. But there, monsoon is the key factor. For tomato prices, it's monsoon plus the excessive heat.
Well, tomato prices on the move. In international news, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war will continue even if a ceasefire is agreed with Hamas. Israeli forces claim to have killed a senior Hamas weapons expert. More than 37,500 Palestinians have died in the last 8 months, according to officials in Gaza. At least 19 people killed in Russia's Dagestan province after gunmen attacked a synagogue, an Orthodox church and police checkpoints. Russian authorities have called it a terrorist attack. No one has claimed responsibility so far. China has asked the European Union to scrap plans to impose preliminary tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports by the 4th of July. This after both sides agreed to negotiate a possible compromise. Remember, provisional duties of up to 38% on imported Chinese-made EVs are set to kick in by the 4th of July. The European Commission has said it will host technical talks with Chinese officials in Brussels this week. European Union regulators have accused Apple of preventing app makers from pointing users to cheaper options outside its App Store. The European Commission said the restrictions that iPhone makers impose on developers breach the 27-nation bloc's Digital Markets Act. The findings have been sent to Apple. The company has a year to defend itself before a final ruling is issued on the 25th of March next year. And before we wrap, the Kerala Assembly has unanimously passed a resolution urging the central government to officially change its name in the constitution to Keralam. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said the name of the state in Malayalam is Keralam. However, it is being referred to as Kerala in official records. The Assembly had passed a similar resolution in August last year, but it came up with a new resolution after the union government pointed out corrections. So Keralam it is, and Kerala is history. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching. The news will continue right here on CNBC TV 18. Stay tuned. We're back with more after this short break.